In case you missed it, here's Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.
The last thing you want to do is hurt yourself before the big day arrives.
But it always happens. So we are going to talk about some of the more common holiday injuries and give you some tips about, how to avoid them. Like falling off a ladder when you're putting up decorations or the tree. And they say the rule of thumb is that for every 4 feet you have to climb, you should move the base of the ladder 1 foot away from the wall. And then make sure someone stands at the bottom of the ladder to hold it there for you to keep it steady.
Now, this year, time of the year, over 100 injuries a day from that kind of a thing. How about toy-related injuries? There are around 150,000 of them each year in kids 14 and under. So make sure they're old enough for the new toys you're buying. And there's so many different things that are dangerous out there that can cause issues, like those Razor scooters. And apparently number one for injuries.
Yeah, well, because if you give them to a kid that's too young, maybe not quite coordinated enough.
Down
they wanted one. And of course, it's Christmas morning. No one's putting a helmet on. Another common holiday injury, fires, of course, whether it's, to do with the trees or candles or cooking. Trees cause around 100 major fires in the month of November and December every year, and candles cause around 1,000.
You just got to be careful. I remember my mom used to have this decoration with candles and angels, and the angels...
They would spin when it got warm, right?
This little stick that was down from the angels, and as it warmed up, I would love that thing.
Yes.
But you always got to be careful and make sure you're not putting it anywhere that can be an issue.
You just reminded me of that. I forget where it was. I've seen that.
Oh, I wish I could find another one. I love that one. Lifting injuries. We get more packages this time of year. So, you're bringing presents over to other family members. Make sure you're bending your knees, lifting properly.
Or when you're bringing in those packages off the front step when they get delivered, right?
Yeah, put your shoes on. Don't try and lean out so you don't have to walk outside.
Yeah. And finally, common holiday injury, cutting yourself. Of course, is there anything more annoying than trying to cut open some of those plastic packaging that gifts come in? And then you cut yourself or scratch yourself, whatever it might be. Just a reminder, always cut away from yourself and never towards anyone else. And, don't ask your kids, if the kids get some packaging, volunteer to do that. I know you can get special, cutters now for it.
It even isn't just the scissors or, trying to use a knife to do it. Sometimes it's that plastic itself.
Yeah, it's sharp
you get
when
that
you
open,
get a cut.
And then that slices you.
But then I'm also thinking, too, you could easily cut yourself when you're prepping for food, too. I'm sure that's a common injury.
Well, let's be careful this holiday season. Well, we have the list of the most popular dog and cat names of the past year. So you can text us, as a few people have already, 519-351-6300. What's the name of your pet? You have a cat or a dog?
Let us know, and we'll let you know whether their name made one of these lists. Rover.com just released the results of the most popular dog and cat names for the past year. So for female dogs, the top 5 were Luna, Bella, Daisy, Lucy, and Lily. And for boy dogs, the top 5 names were Max, Charlie, Cooper, Milo, and Buddy.
Now, female cats, it was Luna again. So Luna on there twice.
And Lily.
Cat and dog. Lily, Bella, Lucy, and Nala. For male cats, it was Oliver, Milo, Leo, Charlie, and Max.
But they said people were getting very creative, though, looking to some of their favorite TV shows and movies for inspiration. I've heard of lots of people getting inspiration from the TV show Yellowstone for naming their pets as well. So thank you to everyone who has texted us so far about their pets' names. Leanne just texted us to say she's got 2 perfect dogs, Roxy Roller and Cocoa Bean.
We also got one in from Jen saying Jimmy is the name of her pet. Diane also texting in today saying my cat's name is Simba. He's 27 pounds.
Wow.
That's like 3 cats in one. That is a big cat.
Bigger than some dogs I know.
And Simba. Well, it's kind of lion-like, right?
Yvonne says my cat's name is Casper and my dog's name is Sabbath. Is he black? Is he Black Sabbath?
That'd be kind of cool. He rocks out. We also got one in from Robin, a text saying, my dog's names are Key Faith, Dreamer, Destiny, Lucky Duke. Well, it's a lot of dogs. Also, Simo, SMO. Sister dog, Cleo. Parents dog, Mandy. Cat's name is Muffin. A busy house going on there. Lots of pets.
Karen says she has a dog named Piper, and she even sent a photo. He's so cute, looking comfy on the couch there.
Michael's sending a text saying, I have a dog. Her name is Princess. She's an American Bulldog.
Someone texted to say they have a dog named Bruce. They also sent a photo of the dog relaxing on a dog bed.
Oh, looks like a black lab.
Yeah. Candy has a white cat named Thelma and a brown black shepherd, king shepherd named Rocky.
Sandra says, my dog's name is Marley. Dan saying, my dog's name is Chico.
And then Dallas said, my dog is Aurora and the cat is Lilith, but we call her Lily. So there's some ideas for cat and dog names if maybe you're thinking about getting a pet over the holidays. You know, always picking out a name. Sometimes that can be so difficult.
Adam Sandler is apparently hot again as a pet name, as in Happy Gilmore. A cruise is also trending up, along with other Top Gun-inspired names like Goose, Maverick, and Cyclone, too.
Interesting.
So how did you come up with your dog's name? Or was he already named?
So Coda, he that was the name he had. Although my brother-in-law was like, yeah, that's nothing. A bag of dog treats wouldn't change. Mm-hmm. But I didn't mind Coda, so I stuck with it. How did you come up with your dog's name?
No idea.
You got her as a puppy, right?
We did. And
Sadie?
We actually figured it out after we picked her up. And we were driving back, and we just started throwing names out in the car, different names. And Sadie, for some reason, Sadie just stuck.
No, were you trying ones that maybe she would perk her ears up at more, or?
No, we never even thought about doing that. We just started throwing names around as she was whining and squealing in the back seat.
I was going to say, I think my brother-in-law, they used to have Bella, and I don't know, they just liked that name. And then, of course, after they named the dog, then the Twilight movies came out, and everybody was naming their dog Bella, and they were like, oh, no.
Oh, of course.
And then Molly, I don't know, they just picked Molly, and then it was funny because they got Molly the dog, and then Mike and Robin and his wife Robin, they had a little girl a couple months later and named her Molly. So we always joked, is it Molly the dog or Molly the baby?
And then nicknames come along too, I think, with your pets. I mean, it's Sadie, but then we say Sadie Sue. And I used to do this little rhyme when she was little. I used to say Sadie Sue, who is no more than 2. But she's 3 now, so.
Yeah, every pet, that they have their actual name, and then they have the 700 other iterations of the name that have gotten so far away from their actual name that you call them. Like, I like to wrap Coda up in a blanket, and then I call him Cozy Coda.
It's what we do with our pets.
He doesn't last in the blanket very long as a husky, though.
And one final note on this. In the UK, the trendiest dog name right now is Mike. Mike. I'm
not going to lie. I love when people give their pets, like, more human-like names. Like Roger. And you think, like, they're yelling at their kid, and you're like, no, I'm just yelling at my dog or cat.
And now it's time for
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's random.
Is that a fact?
Is that a fact?
4 random facts.
Ever wonder why saffron is so expensive? It takes 75,000 saffron flowers to make 1 pound of saffron spice because only a small amount of each flower is used, and all the harvesting has to be done by hand.
They take, like, it's like those little threads that are inside the flower. And I mean, what? Each one only has maybe like 4 or 5?
How wild is that? Now you know why it's so expensive.
Hey, Major League Baseball has managed to buy the domain names for all of its teams, except for 3. Giants.com, well, that's owned by the New York Giants football team. Rays.com is owned by a restaurant in Seattle. And Guardians.com, apparently it's for sale, but not at the price Cleveland wants to pay for it. Now, Twins.com used to be on the list for the Minnesota Twins. It's been owned by a set of twins out in California. They refused to sell it for any price, but back in September, apparently they finally caved. No word on how much they got for it, but apparently they came to a, quote, reasonable agreement.
Did you know this? There are 745,000 miles of cables under the ocean that power the internet.
Could you imagine if there's ever a shark that decides, I'm going to chomp on this?
Or some sort of an underwater disaster that happens. The internet would go down.
And finally, the person who invented and patented the clasp on bras was Mark Twain.
That Mark Twain, the author. How wild. I mean, I'm going to write a book. Now I'm going to invent a bra.
I wonder if he just saw an issue and was like, I'm going to fix this.
4 random facts.
Today's
1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
So random.
Random.
Give the public the facts.
4 random facts.
Here we are, only a few days away from Christmas. Not sure if you'll have enough time to order some of these gifts, but here's some odd but real Christmas gift ideas.
Like the Mistaken Lyrics coasters. It's a set of court coasters that feature famously misheard lyrics, which will make everyone laugh. Like, hit me with your best shark. It's not fair to deny me of the cross-eyed bear that you gave to me. You know,
People actually heard those lyrics?
Yes. I'll only say back $18.99 American. Not bad.
Bread-shaped lush pillow available in 3 different sizes. So one of them is like a giant plush baguette.
I feel like I'd wake up like eating the pillow, though.
Dream of eating a piece of bread and you're munching on your pillow. That'll set you back $36.
How about a belly waist pack? It's a dad bod styled fanny pack that you wear, and it looks like like a dude's bare belly, like a hairy belly. Only $20 though.
How about sushi socks? Try saying that 5 times fast.
Sushi socks.
Sushi socks. It's their go-to takeout order is always sushi. They say then get them this set of socks packaged in traditional takeout boxes of sushi.
So it even looks like sushi.
$26.
How about the My Last Nerve candle for a last-minute Christmas gift idea? Looks like a regular scented candle, but the label says My Last Nerve. Oh, look, it's on fire. Perfect for someone who's always stressed out. That'll set you back $23.
Custom dog portraits. So, if you treat your pet like royalty, they say this is something for you. So kind of a Renaissance-style pet art.
We've seen these.
What a neat idea.
They're very entertaining.
$26 for that.
And how about this? How do you feel about this one, Dave? A bathroom guest book. A guest book for your bathroom for your guests to sign when they poop in your guest room.
What? No, I'm good with not knowing that. That's okay. You go and do your business. I don't need to keep a record of any of that. Well, nights are getting a little bit colder. We got that big storm coming. We've come across some hacks for defrosting your vehicle a little faster.
Now, there's one that you need to stay away from and 2 that definitely works. So the one you should avoid involves pouring boiling water into a plastic bag and then sort of dragging that across your windshield. Well, it does work. You should not really be mixing boiling water and putting it in a plastic bag because I feel like you could burn yourself, but also there's the fact that it could crack your entire windshield.
100%. If it's cold enough, it could definitely crack your windshield. Mm-hmm. Now, if you use maybe water out of the tap.
Yeah, just like room temperature water from the tap and put it in the bag, that might work, but don't be pouring boiling water in your car. There's actually this one video of a guy. He's like pouring it out of the kettle and the window just shatters and the door handle flies off. And he's just like, oh.
Yeah, terrible idea. Well, there are a couple of ideas, though, that might work. Park your car so it's facing east. It gives you the most sun exposure as early as possible. So the ice should melt a little and be a little easier to scrape off, depending upon what time you get up, obviously.
As long as there's sunshine, too. And also, try this one that you've told me about with the sun visor.
It works.
You warm up your car and crank up the defrost. Put both the sun visors down because it kind of traps the warm air around the windshield. And it should make it defrost a little quicker.
So the air bounces up and down the windshield when you do that. Started that years ago, and it really works. Makes a big difference.
Now, I've always wanted to ask you, how far do you put your visor down? Do you put it so it's really trapping it, or is it
just down
90?
And just down against the windshield like you normally would if the sun was in your eyes.
Well, it depends where the sun is. Sometimes I put it further, or
just put it down, and you'll be good to go. And then another big thing too, though, when it comes to maybe warming up your vehicle, don't leave your keys in your unlocked vehicle. There's been so many vehicles stolen, even in just the last few weeks. It's because people aren't, locking up. Get a remote car starter, or if you don't have one, lock your vehicle, have your spare set of keys.
That's a great Christmas gift idea, a remote starter.
And now it's time to put some good in your morning. The good news brought to you by Almar Home Improvements. 519-351-5666.
Well, this is pretty amazing. By turning discarded chip bags into blankets, a 12-year-old girl in Wales is helping both people in need and the environment.
So her name is Alyssa, and in the last year, she has collected about 10,000 chip bags, or as they call them over in the UK, crisp bags, and she's made 200 blankets with it. She says it takes about an hour to make a blanket, and if you're wondering how she does it, she explains it all. She said each packet is opened up so it's flat, then wash. She says then you take 4 of the bags, put them under a piece of baking paper, and iron them together. Then you sandwich the packets between 2 sheets of clear plastic. You use the iron again to seal it into place.
Wow.
And that makes a blanket. And she says it's great because chip bags, not an easy thing to recycle. So this is a way to keep them out of the landfill. And because these blankets are made out of those chip bags, they're waterproof. And the heat reflects back off the silver part of the packet and keeps people warm.
So then she and her mom have teamed up to give them out along with gloves, socks, toothpaste, and other essentials to local organizations that then give it out to the homeless.
Love that.
Such a great idea. And how old is she again?
12.
12. And making a difference in the world. Well, if you've ever lived in an apartment with paper-thin walls, you know, the noise is what gets you. Maybe not something like this, a wall-chewing hamster.
A college kid in Illinois by the name of McKenna posted a video online after her neighbor's hamster chewed through their shared wall and popped its head out into her apartment. It was a very small hole at first, but she heard this weird sound. So she texted her roommate and said, "Hey, something is digging into our place." And her roommate's reply was, what? So the hamster, named Linda, eventually popped her head out, but she wouldn't come out of the wall. They had to get tortilla chips and other snacks to get her to lure out. McKenna then let the neighbor know what happened, and Linda is now happily back home. But I can only imagine the landlord is not going to be too happy with this hamster.
Wall-chewing hamster. Hey, they say finders keepers definitely applies in some situations, especially if a bear steals your food. This happened to a man in Florida waiting for his food delivery order. So he shared a video online that went viral of a black bear helping himself to a hot meal that was delivered to his door.
Yep, you can have it, buddy. I'm not going to fight you for it.
You got to get out there quick. The hot food he took off with, by the way, included a 30-piece chicken nugget meal with fries. But the second bag of cold salad, the bear left that at the door.
Oh, well, you know, he could only pick one, and I'd say the nugget meal probably smelled way better.
He made a good choice.
And finally, you may have heard about these cows that have been on the run in central Quebec for months now. And a covert operation at night finally captured a couple of them. So 4 runaways and the rest of the herd have been wreaking havoc on the farmers' fields about 130 kilometers northeast of Montreal. Now, a farmers' union kept the operation very quiet this past weekend. They didn't even tell the owner of the cattle that they were doing this because they didn't want onlookers to come out, because apparently they've had some other rescue attempts thwarted by curious people showing up. Oh, we're watching catch the cows. No, instead they did this very secretly, and they were able to kind of run a test, and they ended up getting 4 of the cattle from this herd. They lured them into an enclosed feeding area. And they'd say it's all thanks to a couple of things. One, it has snowed, so now it's a lot easier to track them because you can follow their tracks, because that's why they were having a hard time tracking them down in the wilderness. But 2, because it snowed, they're really hungry because they can't eat the grass and all this other stuff now.
That would make sense.
So they were able to trap 4 of them inside of this fenced-in area. They loaded them onto a trailer and got them home. And now they're going to run another operation sometime in the coming days, because there's about 7 or 8 that are still left on the loose out there.
And there's no way they would survive the winter.
No,
not
definitely.
if they're on their own.
Probably not. I mean, they are pretty hardy, but they're going to get really hungry at some point.
And they've caused a lot of damage, too, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, upwards of $25,000 worth of crop damage, mostly because they're trampling soybean fields and eating all the corn out of the fields. But now that it's all harvested, they're starting to get hungry and a little more desperate.
Well, hopefully they can round up the rest. Well, we've got some cold weather myth busting when it comes to, thinking about trying to stay warm. You lose most of your body heat from your head.
That is false. Heat loss is actually more related to surface area. And your head's only about 9% of your body surface. So, but the thing is, you do lose a lot from there if you're not wearing a hat. Because a lot of times, if the rest of you is all covered up and your hat is not, that is where you lose most of your heat from.
You know what? As a bald man, I would disagree with this stat in the sense of you have hair. So at least you've got a bit of coverage. I think I would feel the cold even more.
But I still wear a toque because, well, I got to keep my ears warm too.
Got to seal it in. Hey, to warm up, sip coffee or brandy. Caffeine and alcohol actually hinder the body's ability to produce heat. They can also cause your core temperature to drop. Instead, they say to drink warm water or something with sugar makes a difference. So keep the flask in the house. Don't be using that.
Another cold weather myth is that the cold weather causes you to catch a cold. Nope. You catch a cold from a virus, not from cold temperatures. And then we had that story I think when you were off, Mike and I talked about it. They have figured out that if your nose is cold, you're more susceptible to catching those viruses because that's sort of your first line of defense with your immune system.
Almost one more reason to wear a mask in the winter.
It just does to keep your face warm.
Right? How about this one? Rubbing your fingers or toes to warm them. They say wiggle them instead. If exposed skin, including your face and ears, become cold, cover it with a warm hand until it feels better. Rubbing can actually cause tissue damage.
So just hold it. Nice and warm. Also, don't resist shivering. Shivering means your body is trying to warm up, and that's a good thing. They say shivering can actually triple your body's heat production.
And I think a lot of us are bad for this as parents and grandparents. If I'm cold, you must be cold too.
Yeah, like when people say that about your dog, but it applies to your kids as well. I mean, age, gender, your fitness level, that all determines whether or not you feel cold. Apparently, women, we feel colder before men do. Possibly because we don't generate as much heat as you guys. You're like little space heaters.
Little furnaces happening.
But like the number of people that tell me, bring your dog inside. He's a husky. He's literally bred for this weather.
And they love it.
You've been listening to Dave and Cheryl's Favorite Moments of the Week.